أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبل وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم بقية الله خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصبي حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم الكتاب المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the continuation of the series of discussion on Akhlaaq from the book of Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Dr. Haji Shumali, Lessons on Islamic Morals. We have reached to lesson number 14 for basically it seems to be the both classes are running parallel and they have reached to that point. And lesson 14 discusses humility. As we always try to look at the principle behind these awsaf, these qualities which are well recognized and which are promoted or which we've been asked to acquire, there is a principle, and that principle lies where if God is truthful, we should be truthful as well. If God is sabir, we should be sabir as well. If God is of forgiving, we should be of forgiving as well. Right? This is what Prophet meant when he says, make your akhlaq like the akhlaq of God. This is what it means to be the best of color is the color of God. Right? But when we reflect upon humility, we find that this quality or this sifat, which stands opposite to arrogance, takabbur, and humility is vis-a-vis in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Humbleness, humility, tawazu, these are the different terms that are used. We find that this quality or this sifat is particularly to insan, as in for faqr, which is pointing out to his essential reality. Just like as we said, 3 is an odd number and the oddness is in the essence of 3. It just cannot be other than 3. Right? So faqr is nothing but the essential reality of creation or of insan. So this quality of humility and humbleness is very natural compared to, for example, other qualities where one really have to acquire. This quality one needs to acquire as well. If one is arrogant, obviously he is not humble, but this is very much central to his existence, right? That he should be, humble, he is faqr, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the greatest. There's another quality which perhaps did not discuss here, but later in other books, and that is takabbur, kibriyayat. That's particularly to God. This quality, kibriyayat, is particularly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it is only for Him and no one else. That's why one of the reasons why Fir'aun is abhor, is disliked, or has been not regarded is because of, he said, Ana Rabbakumul A'la. He regarded himself to be, A'la, to be the greatest. Now, let's examine a bit more about this great akhlaqi quality. It would have been much better if Sheikh Shumali himself would have delivered this session, but apparently, he has given me the chance to serve you brothers and sisters here. And as a matter of fact, he is quite quite, how shall I say, unique, particularly in explanation of this particular quality. We can speak about him. He's not here, right? Because since I know him, right, when we were going on summer camp, to Iran, and there were a couple of other Maulanas who spoke English at that time. There was a Sayyid whose name was Sayyid Musawi. I don't know if you remember him or not. And there was Shumali, Sheikh Shumali. These were the two, when we used to go to the camps by Maulana Jan Ali Kazmi used to organize these camps, right? I really wonder where Sayyid Musawi, Hafazahullah, may Allah protect him. But Shumali had that quality of humbleness from the very beginning. You could see in him, and it would have been much better if he would have delivered this session, but inshallah he will shed some light. So humbleness or humility is the realization of that we are in need, that we are faqir, and this automatically brings about that natural reaction of being humble, right? And obviously this humbleness, this humility, first and foremost is in our i'tiqadat, in our belief system to begin with, right? One have to be humble, belief system, i'tiqadat, meaning that in vis-a-vis God, in front of that tawheed, in front of those ma'arif, in front of the imams, in front of the Prophet, right? That one have to surrender, one have to be humble in front of this belief system, to i'tiqadat. Then you would find that the second is where one is humble in front of the teachings and the awsaf being explained by the Prophet that one should really acquire. Obviously on the top notch is the i'tiqadat. That's how it begins with. Then after that is the teachings of the A'immah, teachings of the Prophet. First we have accepted him to be the Prophet, to be mercy to mankind, and what he is teaching, right? Now when we are saying that one is humble or surrender or manifest humility, doesn't mean that he's not questioning his belief, he's not investigating his belief, he's not sort of challenging his belief. One really have to challenge, right? When we say that he is humble, it means that to whatever level of understanding that I have, right? And when somebody is giving me something, I take that as from a point of view as where I take that as that I don't know, so I'm humbling myself. I'm accepting your opinion. I'm giving you that sort of honor, or I'm giving you that space to express your opinion. I'm not adamant. I'm not arrogant. I'm not, saying that this is it, and nothing other than this, right? So that's how it begins with, right? And when it comes to the ideology or i'tiqadat, right? Obviously, when we are faced with the sovereignty of God, the jalal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one really baffled, one is really kind of shocked and astonishment. It's a natural reaction, and one accepts that. So this is once again that practical way of expressing or manifesting that humility of insan, that he becomes humble in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we look at or reflect in the du'as of Masumin alayhi salam, like how the author has pointed out to that, what can we be proud of? What can we say that we really own anything? If I come to you with my eyes, O my Lord, if I come to you with my ears, for example, the dua of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, by which thing can I now meet you? You, O my Master. Can I come with my ears, my sight, my tongue, my hands, my feet? Is it not the case that all of these are your blessings which you have given me? We don't really own anything. What is it really there that we could, be of any sort of have that air in our head, hawa in our head, that, even my ibadat, even my worship, even my sajda, my fasting, so we have to count them as nothing, no matter how much we do. If we start thinking that my ibadat, my ziyarat, my walk, then it becomes problematic. It becomes a big hurdle. And when we said that in front of the i'tiqadat, one have to really humble, is really to accept the fact that I'm nothing. Last week we were talking about Bahjat and how humble he was, how he himself was a mirror to reflect that person he gazes at. Many of us have the opportunity, I'm pretty sure, of visiting him and just looking at him. And when he gazed at us, he said something to us. He showed ourselves in his eyes, in his mirror. And that's the experience I have. Right? Because he himself have purified himself so much that he had become a mirror of God and also the mirror for the creation. You have heard a lot that people would go to him and they say that if he gives you something with his eyes, just take it. If he look at you, you don't need to speak anything. He will speak. He will speak to you, right? So as he himself have reached to that level of humility and humbleness in front of God, he has purified himself. He was reflecting that divinity of God in him in terms of his akhlaq and all that. And at the same time, when somebody meets him, he was reflecting them as well, which requires us to really accept that, yes, what you have showed me, that's what I am. Right. And this is where we are talking about in front of the i'tiqadat, in front of that sublime tawheed, that those prophets and the imams, when they point out to our faults, when we say that how far we are from Imam Hussein, how far we are from the ashab of Imam Hussein. This means that, we are manifesting, we are showing, we are accepting our faults and error and expressing our humbleness and humility in front of the Imam, in front of the ashab. That's what it means, right? So, in another beautiful dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says that, "O my Lord, I am poor in my richness. So how can I not be poor in my poverty?" Right? And Imam Hussein is mentioning this, who is the owner of, all earth, because every earth, every land is Karbala. Imam Hussein is the owner of all earth. Imam Hussein is the owner of all time. Every time is the, time of Ashura. That's what it means, right? One of the interpretation could be that Imam Hussein gave his blood and he bought all of the earth, because kullu arzin Karbala it became. Imam Hussein gave his time or himself and bought all the time. Every yom, every day is Ashura. So that's why I think in one of the scholars had mentioned very beautifully that Imam Hussein gave everything what he had. And in return, God will give everything if we come from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. In honor of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in tawassul of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So, and we tend to see this being reflected amongst the scholars as well. When Bahjat first, from Fuman, he went to Karbala first. If you look at his life, his biography, he goes to Karbala first, and then he would go every day to the haram of Imam Hussein and would ask for a guide, would ask for that tazkiyah, purification, and eventually he was showed, he was introduced to Qazi, then he moved there. And Qazi himself have said that Tawheed and Ma'arif and Maqamat and levels that one needs to acquire, it's from the Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Right? And that's why the majalis become so powerful. That's why, whatever we have, it's from Muharram and Safar, right? Scholars have mentioned that. And if we reflect on our own lives, we would say that, definitely will say that it was the Majalis of Imam Hussain which kind of introduce us towards spirituality, it's the Majalis of Imam Hussain. So all Ma'arif, Tawheed and spirituality and whatnot is because of the Sadaqah, is because of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. Right? And he says that, "Oh my Lord, I am poor in my richness. So how can I not be poor in my poverty?" When a person realizes and recognizes that when he is faqir, right? When he is faqir, he will come up with this understanding. No matter what he has, still he will be poor vis-a-vis God. He will not be able to really be of any weight. Now, the author tend to kind of reflect upon lack of humility in a person by giving the example of Shaitan, where Shaitan was not humble, in front of God's creation. Right? Now there's a relationship here. Yes, we will always say, yes, we will be humble in front of God. But what about humble in front of the creation of God? Because the creation is not separate entity from God. Right? As we say that if we don't thank the makhluk, it is not thanking the Khaliq. So the same way, if we are not humble in front of the makhluk, we are not humble in front of the Khaliq. Shaitan was not humble in front of the makhluqat. He regarded himself to be of some of value, of something. Like, for example, that scholar Alim Ba'ura in Musa's time, who regarded himself of something. Musa stutters, how come he is the Nabi? I don't stutter. Because he has the luknat-e-zaban, as they say, used to stutter, Musa alayhi salam. This scholar knew the Ism Azam. People would line up to his house for dua. But still, when it comes to Musa, he was, why Musa? Why not me? Then he went to call the curse, right? So he regarded himself that this ilm or Ism Azam, whatever I have, is because of me. It's I have acquired it. That worship of Shaitan, who becomes the Imam of all Malaika for a number of years, 6,000 or whatnot. You can read that. It's been explained very beautifully in the book. That he led the Jamaat prayers in the heaven. But then when God asked him to do sajda, to be humble, he said, this is Adam and me. This is with clay and I'm with fire. The arrogance of his was so powerful that he overlooked that this is the command of his master. Because he was so overwhelmed by his honor and dignity and ghurur and takabbur that made him negligence of the fact that this is the command of master. This Adam is really nothing. Adam is nothing. Yes, he's a clay. But my master is asking me to do so. Right? So when a person becomes maghrur, when a person becomes arrogant, this becomes one of the thickest hijab, one of the thickest veil, where he is unable to comprehend and understand things, see the reality the way it is. Because of ghurur, he's unable to see that. And as he regards himself and as he walk on this earth with ghurur, as the verse of the Quran is saying, right? Walk in a humble way, right? As he walk in that fashion, the reality of this person is an ant. There's a hadith from the 6th Imam in the commentary of Aql Jahal of Imam Khomeini. He brought this hadith. There's a very beautiful section of Tawadu there where he discusses. And he says there's a hadith which is from the Prophet or the 6th Imam, which says that those who did takabbur in this dunya, in the hereafter they will be raised as ants. Very little. Because have no value. The kids kill it just for playing. Wherever it kind of, bites, we just kill it without even thinking. And have no value. So when they regarded themselves like that, in the akhirah they will be like this. They will be like ants. People will, step on them and go over them, and they will be, that's their reality. So Shaitan, who regarded himself as the greatest in front of all creation of God and disrespected Adam, right? Is this behavior of his is opposite to humility, is opposite to humbleness. That's why this story or this event of Shaitan is brought here. And if you look at some other verses of the Quran, when those people, وَإِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنَ الَّذِينَ يَمْشَوْنَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of Rahman are those who walk يَمْشَوْنَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ, on this earth, humbly on the earth. هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمْ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. When they are, faced with, addressed with mukhatib, khatabahum, jahilun, those who are ignorant, jahil, they say salama, they say salam, they say peace. That's how they respond. And stories are full of, in the books of history and akhlaq of the Masumeen. The Imams, how humble they were. The Syrian who comes from Sham and disrespects Imam Hassan, and others, 4th Imam Qasim al-Ghais, 7th Imam, for example, who is known as Qazim, who controls that. The story of the 4th Imam, the slave who drops the plate or the bowl on the head of his young child who died because of this incident. And Imam freed him. Once again showing that humbleness. Then the slave came back and asked him that, because you don't want to see me, that's why you freed me. Imam said, no, because I don't want to embarrass you. Because if you stay with me, you will remember that incident and you will be embarrassed. There's nothing but that humility, humbleness, right? In front of Ibn Muljim, give him the same food. Why are you intimidating him? Look, his face color has changed, so on and so forth. His humbleness, his humility. In front of enemies, they are humble. Imagine in front of, those who are the lovers, those who are the ashab. So they always walked on this earth in a very humble way, in a very, humble fashion. Because they kept in mind Darul Akhirah, Tilka Darul Akhirah, as they say in another verse of the Quran, that the Darul Akhirah naj'aluhum is been made for those, Tilka Darul Akhirah naj'aluha lilladina la yuriduna uluwan fil ard. They don't desire to have some ulu. It's me. If you invite one Maulana by not writing Hujjatul Islam or Ayatullah, you are in trouble. Ayatullah, you don't know. Last night somebody was telling me, to be very honest, I was surprised. The family member, the daughter-in-law of some Ayatullah, philosopher, some known person, I'm not going to take the name, called the father-in-law as, Agha Jun or Haji Agha. The person replies and saying that the people calls me with different titles, and what is this you're calling me as Haji Agha? He's a family member, right? So, sometimes we think that these are stories, right? Because somebody that I know as well, something that I experience. In friendship, when you become familiar with someone, you take the name, Jafar or Zaid, Amr, brother Amr, how are you doing? Brother Zaid, how are you doing? He said, no, don't call me brother Zaid, call me Dr. Zaid, because I'm a doctor. He told me that So when you hear these things, we think that, it doesn't, people are not like that. Come on, these are just Maulanas making stories to, kill some time and go further and explain about akhlaq, right? No. I personally used to think that way, but it happened, I was shocked. And then last night, this incident, somebody who was very reliable, who I would trust, right? So there are people like that, right? But what is the Quran saying? Even after them, graduating, studying, and that was not a medical doctor when he was a PhD doctor. I mean, people go to the universities and study and get educated there, because education, the purpose of education is the expansion of the heart. People, the tolerance, it kind of provides you, difference of opinion, one accepts and go further. Allow that freedom and space to others to really execute and behave the way they want to behave. Even if it be someone who is ignorant, who behaves in such a fashion, they say, okay, he doesn't know. Let's keep on going, right? Or if somebody knows as well, for it. So even after going through this education, it's ilahiyat, becoming ayatullah and whatnot, still, if you call them with their name, from who? Not from people who's walking on the street, from their family members. It becomes very difficult. So when he's an insan, he's a human being, it could happen to him, it could happen to me as well, who's a bachche talabe, who I'm a student or whatever I am. I'm maybe a medical doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe a trustee, maybe a president or whatever. In a different fashion it could happen, not to that extreme extent. So I should be always watchful. I should be always careful of this, illness, of this disease of takabbur, right? And this also means that we have to give utmost respect to all others, to everybody, no matter who they are. Oh, look at this, he's clean shaved, or he's not this, he's that. No. Every person should be respected, because we don't know how he is connecting to God. Our fourth Imam have said, be wary of 4 things which are hidden in 4 things. Be wary of the acceptance of dua hidden in the dua. So don't go to Maulana, badi lambi dua de, big dua, give me Maulana, because no, whether that dua be small dua or big dua, Imam says the acceptance of dua is hidden in the dua itself. It's not the question of big or small or mujarrab or experience, no. The acceptance of dua is in dua. Be wary of sins, whether that be greater sin or smaller sin. Because the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the sin itself. Right? So, it's just making fun, just a little thing. It's just a bit of gossip, it's nothing, No. Because the azab is within. Agha Bahjat says that when somebody takes one step towards a sin, he doesn't know where his second step will come. Do we really know that? I have taken one step. The next step is going where? We don't know. Right? It could really completely uproot us. Right? So it could be something that is very small. It's just maybe it's a WhatsApp message to a na-mahram, masalan, for instance. Very little, it's nothing. But it's a sin is a sin. I don't know where it would lead to, right? And how much of, good things might have been burned. Because when Prophet was going in the heavens, he saw that angels planting and burning. He said, what's going on? He said, they are burning because they are committing sins. We are preparing for them, but they commit a sin, we burn them. So here, as the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam and tilka darul akhirah, those, the hereafter, the future, we assign it to those who have no desire to exalt themselves in the earth, to be uluf, to be takabbur, to be known, right? Fil ard wala fasadan wala wal aqibatu lil muttaqin. They don't desire to exalt themselves in the earth, nor to make mischief, and the good end is for those who are muttaqeen, those who guard themselves. Bahjat, masalan, they say, after the demise of Ayatollah Iraqi, they say, we want to announce your name in one of the list of the Maharaj. He said, Aslan, I'm not Razi. No way. But they did. And then he emphasized his son that when somebody comes to ask about taqleed and this and that, say that they are other Maharaj, you go do taqleed to them. And after they have done and they come to you, then only, say, I will accept. Because it becomes like a sort of wajib at that time, because there is no Marjas left as such. Al-Abd, his Tawziul Masail, no Ayatollah al-Uzama, nothing. They brought to him, he got upset. What is this Ayatollah? Who is this? Just write Abd. Abd Muhammad Taqi Bahjat, that's all. So that's humbleness that we really need to acquire and learn. Inshallah, we'll open up the session, maybe perhaps for question and answers, and then we can try to understand a bit more of this great quality that we need to be acquainted with. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alayhi tahirin.